Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Morning.
I hope everybody had a happy new year. So good morning, and we are beginning our meeting this morning. It is January 28th, 2026. We are at the Community Advisory Committee meeting. I am Judy Pizzo, your chair. I'd like to also introduce my co-chair here, Vice Chair Janet Frigola. And sitting in for Marianne is Virginia Whittington. I would like to ask Marissa if she would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Marissa. I want to remind all members that this meeting and all future CAC meetings are held in person, and it is important for members to be here so that we have a quorum. I believe we're 2 or 3 shy of that at this moment. So we may delay some of the important things we need to delay. Members of the public are still to participate virtually, and we encourage them to do so. I'd also like to ask members to please turn on your microphone before speaking and deactivate it after your remarks. This will help ensure that everyone is heard by those in the room and online. And also when this is recorded, if you've ever watched a recording, it gets interesting. At the November board meeting, Ms. Melissa Council informed the board of our recommendation to adopt the 2050 plan. She also shared our feeling that the world of transportation is changing so fast that it will be challenging to keep up our long-range vision up to date. Ms. Council told the board that we had completed our election of 2026 officers and that she was stepping down. Board Chair Bob Dallery thanked her for her service and leadership. I regret I don't see her in the meeting yet this morning, but I want to thank her for her time on the board. She did an excellent job, and I'm glad that she is staying on the board with us. Now I'll ask Ms. Virginia Whittington to do our agenda review.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Those of you who have not met up close and personal, I am Virginia Whittington. I'm the Director of Regional Partnerships here at Metro Plan Orlando. Marianne is making a presentation at the MPOAC. She and Giselle, they had taken on this opportunity before we took a close look at the calendars, and when we realized the CAC meeting was on the same day, they had gotten so far down the road that I said, you all go and I'll stay here. So you all are stuck with me today, but you have to promise that you will not tell her how much fun we're going to have during this meeting. You're sworn to secrecy. So as we begin this new year, we want to recognize those who've made an effort in 2025 to attend all 8 CAC meetings. Those with perfect attendance last year were Jeffrey Campbell, Teresa Mott, Tom O'Hanlon, Judy Pizzo, and Theo Webster. And you all have certificates at your places, and we want to thank you all for your efforts and your accomplishment. It's great. We will recognize former chair, Melissa Council. Once she arrives, we'll give her kudos for her service as chair last year. And I want to introduce Ms. Jamie McMillan. Jamie, will you stand? Jamie is our new transportation planning intern. She is an Orlando native and a student at UCF.
Nice.
She's in the Masters of Urban and Regional Planning program, Judy. And she's going to be with us through the summer, and we'll be working on our pedestrian and bicycle crash analysis tool. We had a robust recruitment for the CAC members to fill Metro Plan Orlando's appointed seats. That ended on January 23rd. We received 27 applications. And the selection committee, made up of staff and partners and chaired by Ms. Judy Pizzo, are scheduled to meet on February 24th to make the selections and recommendation. We expect to have those approved by the board in March, and we'll welcome new members in April. On the safety front, the most recent round of Safe Streets for All federal safety grants have been awarded. Florida received 40 awards, and there were numerous winners among our regional partners, including Castleberry, Altamont Springs, the City of Orlando, and Orange County in collaboration with UCF. So we'll be hearing more about that soon, and some of the safety initiatives as they move forward. So, Madam Chair and members, we are 2 shy. I think I saw somebody walk in. We're 3 shy of a quorum presently. However, we are able to move forward with information items. We'll start that with Mr. Mike Wilson. He's going to come with our safety moment, and then Jonathan Scarf will come with FDOT's report. And hopefully by that time, Madam Chair and members, we will be at a point where we'll have a quorum in the room.
Thank you, Virginia, and good morning, everyone. We have a new topic that we haven't covered before on the safety moment, and that's rail crossing. We have a nice little video here from Sunrail. It doesn't really need a whole lot of elaboration. Yeah, so don't do that, right? Yeah, there's the obvious problems out there, right? A little bit of data, I mean, to get an idea of the extent of the problem. And we have this data from our Vision Zero plan, where we got this from Sunrail, and it's not a routine thing that we can access. But for those 5 years of our Vision Zero plan, we had 4 fatalities involving motor vehicles at crossings and 4 serious injuries. Crashes as well. 19 fatalities for pedestrians, 8 injuries, but 11 of those were confirmed or assumed to be suicides. And you can see there about 1/3 of them are happening at crossings and 2/3 actually outside of crossings. You saw an example of that in the video. A couple of key things that the folks at Sunrail wanted me to communicate about rail crossing safety. One is what's called the dynamic envelope. You see those hash marks in front and behind the crossing there, the X there. The real simple rule is that you do not cross the stop bar if you can't get your vehicle entirely past that dynamic envelope. You don't want the back of your vehicle hanging into that envelope if the gates come down and a train is coming. And then another key thing is that we all can help Sunrail do a better job of keeping everybody safe. At every crossing, there is a little blue and white sign there that has phone number and a location number, so you can report any issues that you see that could affect safety. So that concludes my safety moment for this morning. Be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mike. We do. I'm not awake yet. I apologize. We obviously have a question for Mr. O'Hanlon.
It'd be great if you could make a recommendation to the railroad people to put a commercial like that on television. I will guarantee you 99.9999999% of our society has no idea that phone number's there. Just one simple public service announcement would go a long way.
Good point.
We have another question, and I should know your name by now. I know Teresa, but Mott was the last part. Teresa Mott, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for sharing the information. Just quick question. What was the number of suicides you mentioned?
It was 11 out of the 19 pedestrian fatalities. 11 were presumed to be suicide.
And was that for a particular calendar year? You may have said it, and I apologize.
That was for the 5 years of Vision Zero, so 2018 through 22.
2018 through 2022,
Yeah.
11 suicides?
Correct.
All right. Thank you. That concludes my question, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Teresa. I don't see any other questions. Mike, it was an excellent presentation.
Thank
I think that I agree with Tom on the phone number. Thank you.
Right.
I'd like to now call on Jonathan Scarf to do the Florida Department of Transportation report. Thank you, Jonathan.
Morning, Madam Chair, CAC members. Some very brief updates for you this morning. As usual, in your general information tab, you'll have our latest construction report as of January 5th. Just wanted to let you know of a recently completed project on so Orange Avenue, or also State Road 527, from Magnolia Avenue to Colonial Drive. That project was completed. That was a milling and resurfacing project, also with ADA improvements along the route. Final walkthrough on that project was completed on December 12th of 2025. I did want to point out some additional resources because we have the I-4 Beyond website, and there's also a newsletter, and there's always a lot of interest given our area in what's taking place on all the various projects. So the newsletter tab on I-4 Beyond, you can sign up and it'll produce a monthly newsletter, and it can come directly to you. If you do that, it shows all the updates that are occurring within that month. The latest issue had the Beyond the Ultimate kind of a 2025 wrap up. 60 years of I-4, so happy birthday I-4, and then State Road 525 ramp widening improvements are nearing completion. So, it's very detailed if you're looking for that information. And I know we're approaching the end of January here, just, consider that it's still move over month. A couple of the numbers that jump out at you are in 2024, there were 17,567 move over citations, and that resulted in 205 crashes, with 1 fatality and 17 injuries. So, kind of keep that at the forefront of your mind as you're traveling to adhere to the move over law. And then pending questions, my contact information is there, as well as a couple of the resources that I mentioned. Any questions, that concludes my update today.
Thank you, Jonathan. We do have a question at the end. David.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for the presentation. Just a quick question regarding the Move Over campaign, particularly since the law was expanded to not only include emergency vehicles, but also just any vehicle pulled off to the side. Have we seen an increase in people moving over? Have people started following the law more? Are we seeing it? Or are we seeing?
I'm not sure if we've had an increased adherence. I can ask about that. We did have the kind of in that slide that I have, we have our latest numbers from 2014. I don't have the 2024. I don't have the 2025 data yet though, but that's something I can look out for and then kind of give an update if I do find that information from the safety office.
Thank you. I'm seeing no other questions. Thank you, sir. So Ms. Melissa is here.
Good morning again, members. We stated earlier that we wanted to recognize Ms. Melissa Council for her being our chair last year. And so she has arrived and she has a token of appreciation at her space. And if you all will help thank her for her leadership. And Madam Chair, we are ready to move forward with the agenda as it is printed.
That's very good news. Ms. Rachel, would you like to do our, excuse me, do our roll call, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If members can please remember to turn their microphone on, respond with here or present, and then mute your microphone. Ashton. Battler.
Here.
Caesar.
Here.
Campbell.
Present.
Council. Fortune. Frivola.
Present.
Heath.
Present.
Mott.
Present.
Mueller.
Present.
Negron.
Present.
O'Hanlon. Pigram. Pizzo.
Present.
Dallas. Here. Sabila.
Present.
Webster.
Present.
Wells. West,
Present.
Madam Chair, that concludes the roll call. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here this morning. We will now hear public comments on the action items. We ask that you provide your name, address for the record, and please hold your comments to 2 minutes or less. If any member of the public wishes to comment and is joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized. If you are joining us using your phone only, please dial the *9 on your phone. It's a star and a 9 on your keypad to be recognized. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you, Rachel. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to make a public comment?
No comments received.
Thank you, Rachel. Public comments on action items. So at this time, we'll move to the action items. We have 3 items to consider. Additional information is available in your full agendas. The first item will be approval of the minutes from the December 3rd 2025 CAC meeting. Are there any questions or corrections to the agenda? Seeing no, yes, seeing no comments or questions, can members please remember to use your, skip that. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve, Melissa Council.
Thank you, Ms. Council. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I heard a voice.
Ms.
Ms.
Heath.
Ma.
Ms.
Ms.
Ma.
Heath. Ms. Heath.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, we move forward. Next, we have amendments to the Transportation Improvement Program. Ms. Taylor Laurent will present the information. Good morning, Taylor.
Hello and good morning. So we have 2 TIP amendments for you this morning. The first is a new project to add funding into the TIP and includes the Links 5310 program. So this is a program that is implemented by Links for the Meals on Wheels and other community support type programs. And this includes the addition of $1.5 million to this program being added newly to the TIP. The second amendment is a modification to an existing project. This is a turnpike project, the Poinciana Parkway connector that we made some revisions to last year. The change this time around is to advance the right-of-way and environmental phases to the current fiscal year, from fiscal year 27 to 26. They're going to be getting to some contracting a little earlier than expected. And also to add $16.8 million of turnpike funds for construction and their design build phase again in fiscal year 2026. So unless you have any questions, we are asking for your recommendation of approval of these amendments as they've been presented today.
Second.
Thank you both. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing, Mr. O'Hanlon, your placard is up.
Yes, I see there's some money in here for links. I am really not excited about giving links even a freaking dime. They could be out of business by the end of this year or certainly by the end of next year because they are so far behind in technology. They're a dinosaur organization and they probably cost us 10 times as much money as should be spent on this. And you guys will be seeing this over the next 2 years, so enjoy it.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hanlon. Mr. Pigbrand.
I had a question on the Poinciana connector, and this may be something to ask our DOT partners, but the work in that area I think it's going to interconnect with I-4, if I remember right, or maybe I'm getting projects mixed up, but just curious with the I-4 ultimate work going down into Osceola County, like who comes first? Are we adding the connector into I-4, adding volume before ultimate is built out, or is the governor accelerating that work so the additional express lanes are going to be in before the connectors there? I just don't know kind of timing wise. I have nothing wrong with the request. Just curious on the timing of like who's coming first out there. Or if I'm just getting the Points Interconnector project completely wrong, my apologies.
Oh, I'm calling on my friends in the audience. We have our Turnpike representative here, Lauren. So I'll allow you to answer that question.
Good morning, Lauren. Yeah, I do understand your question. I will be able to, get back with you with that information. Most definitely. At the moment, I'm not really sure as far as on the advancement of the funds, but like I said, I can definitely get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay, Ms. Council.
Well, so we can all know at the same time. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your comments. Sorry, there is a voice vote on this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, move forward. Our final action item is a recommendation to support the federal transportation safety performance targets. There was an action item fact sheet provided in your agendas, section 3, and Ms. Laura Belk has more information. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, CAC members. Good to see you all this morning. Thank you. All right. So federal transportation law requires that state DOTs and MPOs alike use something called the Transportation Performance Management Approach, which is intended to ensure that our investment and policy decisions are supportive of our strategic performance goals. So the way that we work that approach is that we look at our past performance, and then we look at forecasted conditions to set targets, and then FHWA monitors our progress towards those targets as a part of our periodic planning process reviews. And then periodically we set new targets. Today, we're going to be discussing the safety category for which we track. We're required to set new targets for these annually, and we track 3 safety performance measures. The ones that we track include the number and rate of fatalities on our roads in the region, the number and rate of serious injury crashes in the region, and then the number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries, so those involving our vulnerable road users. On this slide, we show the last several years of rolling 5-year averages for each of those metrics that I just talked about. I will note that through 2025, the crash data is only available through October 31st. So that last column for 2025 with the asterisk is working with some partial data. But nonetheless, what we see in these trends is a general downward trend since about 2021, which is a good thing. Though we did see a small uptick in our non-motorized fatal and serious injury crashes in that last rolling average that includes the 2025 crashes. So MPOs are required to set a target for the safety performance measures by February 27th of each year, which is 180 days after FDOT is required to set their targets for the safety metrics. In keeping with their Target Zero initiative and related goals, FDOT has once again set their target at 0 for each of the safety metrics. And as we have for the past several years, we're also recommending that we set the targets for these measures at 0 in keeping with our Vision Zero goals. So with that, the requested action today is a recommendation for approval of these safety targets as presented in this slide deck. And that's all I have for you today, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Laura. Did you have a question or you just want to jump to?
Well, we can get a motion and then have.
Thank you, sir. Yes. So I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second? Okay. Thank you, David. We have a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Hanlon?
Yeah, where are the, on your prior screen, where did all of these little scooter things wind up in that tally?
So they would wind up in if there is a motor vehicle involved, they could be in the fatalities and serious injuries. If there's no motor vehicle involved, it would just be for the non-motorized. But they generally land in the category right now with bicycle crashes. That said, Jamie, who's our intern right now, is working on going through our crash records over the last several years, reading the narratives and updating them in that PBCAT tool that we have, where we can pull out the micromobility crashes. So we'll be able to have a better idea of where the micromobility crashes are occurring and how many we're seeing over the years.
I think
moving
my
forward.
question really gets down to, it's up for 2025 on the bottom right-hand
Yes.
corner. Is that because that's all of these scooter crashes that we're all talking about are being dumped into that number?
That's probably part of it,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, Tom. Ms. Heath?
Good morning.
I did want to ask or try to tease out as we look forward to tracking data. I am curious to know if you have any metrics built into public improvements that have been removed or new policies that have been implemented that take away from crosswalks and things that were intended to mitigate safety and fatalities along DOT roadways, particularly in our communities. I just wanted to know if you'll be tracking data related to that and looking backwards and forwards so that the general public can know whether or not that is improved or reduced safety, particularly in areas where we have residents who and pedestrians and bikers who are utilizing those. And I'm curious to know if safety will improve or decrease.
That is a good question. That's not something that we've been tracking specifically. Right now, we're in the midst of doing our first annual report for our Vision Zero Safety Action Plan. So we'll see if any of that sort of comes out. But that's an interesting question. Maybe something we can be tracking to find out, first of all, what all was removed. And then we can see, how the crash trends are changing on those roadways.
And I know that that's not something that you can influence at a policy level. I recognize that, and it's not even in alignment with our local DOT partners. I know that, and I know that that's a touchy issue. So I recognize that. I work and live in a community where much of that was removed and intended to improve safety. And so I really want to see whether or not the removals are driving against our goals of Vision Zero. Additionally, we're seeing DOT partners still out resurfacing, even as recently as last week. And so that's a concern and a frustration.
All right, thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. And I have a question.
Okay.
I get to ask, well, let me get David there at the end, David Sebelia first. Thank you,
All right.
David.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Ms. Heath, for bringing up that question. As I was thinking about that as our FDOT partners were speaking earlier regarding some of this data as well, sort of following along the lines of the information that's being tracked.
Mm-hmm.
As far as distracted drivers,
yes.
Are we seeing any data that's showing any improvements regarding these numbers, or especially with new laws with handheld devices and things like that
I don't remember off the top of my head. I can follow up with you because I know that one of our recent safety moments, Mike did a safety moment on distracted driving and has some of those metrics. So I'll just have to look those up again, and I can reach out. And if anyone else is interested, just let me know.
Good question. I want to follow up a little bit on what Mr. O'Hanlon had stated regarding the little scooters out there, the e-bikes, the e-scooters, the whole massive bunch of them. I had read a recent article, I believe the state of Florida, and maybe the DOT can follow up on this for me, or you can. How far is that progressing in trying to get legislation to monitor or license or whatever when you have a child that's under 14 or whatever on these things and they can go 30-35 miles an hour? It gets kind of dicey. They're kind of scary. They don't have helmets. They're not licensed, and they're either on state roads or on the sidewalks. So like if there's any information you could provide us regarding the status.
Okay.
And this is a big safety issue for a lot of
Yeah,
folks.
as you sounds like you're aware, there is currently legislation in committee regarding e-bikes. It's in flux, but it's something that I can bring back at the next CAC
Appreciate
meeting.
it.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you for your presentation. We now move on to presentations. There are 3 today. Remember, if you don't get a chance to ask a question, you can always send those questions to our liaison, Ms. Mary Ann Horn.
Madam Chair,
Did I skip up? Wait a minute.
we have a motion, we have a second, we need the voice vote.
You guys are going to fire me after today. Moving on. Yes, we'd like to hear a motion to approve.
Well, you had to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just called a question. Call it out. Yeah, call it out.
We have the motion.
All in favor?
The motion.
We have
All
the
in favor,
second.
please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, hearing none, then the motion is passed. Thank you. Now, as I was saying, we now move on to our presentation. So as I was saying, there are three, and if you have any questions or information you'd like further detail on, we can reach out to Ms. Marianne Horn, and she will forward them to us. Our first presenter is Ms. Virginia Whittington with a refresher on the Florida Sunshine Law. Ms. Whittington, the floor is yours.
Good morning again, Madam Chair and members. This is where most of you usually check out because every year I come and I do this and I tell you about this over and over and over again. And you already know all of this. So this time we're going to do it just a little bit different. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
And I know you like fun. So get out your cell phones. We're going to have a little fun here. If you'll use your cell phones to take a little screen grab there, it will take you to a Kahoot platform. And this is it's not an exam, but this is just a little fun way to get a refresher about these sunshine laws. I mean, we understand that some of you are not, haven't been here as long as the others, so don't show them up as bad, okay? Kind of go light on those who have been here for a while with your responses. So once we get started with this, you're gonna come in with your name. You can put your real name. I see some incognito names there that are populating. And once we get everyone who would like to participate, then we're gonna move forward. Once we get into the game, you're gonna have 30 seconds to respond to these questions. And there is at least one sleeper question in here that is 10 seconds, but you get double points. How about that? And so once we get everyone logged in here, is everybody logged in? And those of you who are in the audience, feel free to join. All right, are we gonna spare them the music?
The music.
Well, you have the mouse, so I can't do that.
All right, so this is Florida Government in the Sunshine and Meeting Decorum, Kahoot. Are all players in? Are all players in the game who want to play? Everybody in? I see people still coming in. All right. I'm going to give you another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Well, we will get through this and we'll learn along the way, and then we'll have some takeaways for you at the end. Okay, is everybody in who wants to play? Can I get a in-person thumbs up if you're in? Tom, you got it? Oh, technology's giving Tom a problem of all people.
It says cannot connect to iCloud private relay.
So
Sounds like a phone wash setting.
yeah, that
Don't worry about me. Just
yeah, could you try going through your browser, Tom? Maybe
I
using.
did. I've gone in and out 3 times. It's
Okay. Well, we'll let you be the judge. How about this? Because you probably know all this stuff anyway. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get started. There's a total of 16 questions, but I promise you they go quick. And so we are ready to get started with Kahoot, Florida Government in the Sunshine. We're gonna skip this tutorial here. And here we go. This is our refresher. Here's the first question in 3, 2, 1. Public meetings and sunshine. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Number 1. This is a multi-select. What are 3 basic requirements of public meetings? It must be open and accessible. It must be recorded. It must be held in the sunshine outside. And they must give reasonable notice. Gotta have people. What are the 3 requirements? Okay, 9 seconds left. 3, 2, and 1. So, okay, someone was being smart there. So yes, they must be open and accessible to the public. There must be a recording of the meeting, and we must give reasonable notice that those meetings are happening. All right, next question. All of you who are coming up there, those of you are the ones who got that correct. All right, next question. What is the primary purpose of the Florida Sunshine Law? Is it to protect officials, speed up these meetings, ensure government business is conducted openly, or is it to reduce public input? Why do we have these laws? What's the purpose? It is to ensure that government business is conducted in an open fashion. No secret deals. All right, good job. Those of you who got it, good job there. All right, next question. When does the Sunshine Law apply? Is it when there's public notice and minutes? Any gathering where there are 2 or more members, business is discussed, and there's foreseeable action? Is it when there's a quorum, agenda, and a vote, or at a dinner party, professional development workshops, staff luncheons? When does the law apply? Four, 3, 2, and 1. It is any gathering where there are 2 or more members, there is business discussed, and that business is a foreseeable action. It's coming before the board. All right, awesome sauce. Lisa, you got a streak going there. I listened to you. All right, next question here. A member replies to all in an email saying that they can't make it to the meeting, but ask others to approve an item. Is this a violation? Yes, it's a Sunshine Law violation. No, the meeting didn't reach quorum. No, the email doesn't count. And no, because no one saw the email before the meeting. But a member says, I can't be there, but please approve this item for me. Make sure that it gets approved. Absolutely, it is a Sunshine Law violation. Why? Because they responded to all, and we will find out in just a moment. 14 participants. Boy, you guys are smart. On a streak there. You answered 4 correctly. Here we go. Next. A member texts another one. Let's chat before the meeting. Is this a violation? Nope, there's no violation. Yes, there's a clear violation. There's a perceived violation. Or the headache isn't worth the text, so don't do it. And this is a little tricky one. It's a little tricky. But is it a violation? Is the question. Our advice to you is that the headache is not worth the text. So refrain from texting because it is a perceived violation. And if you ever get called up, you have to produce those text messages, and it is something that has to be done, and it would be deemed a violation. So, you know, it's better to not do it than to have to explain why you did it, or that it was all about going to lunch as opposed to the meeting. All right, next question. Let's see who's, ooh, who are those 2? Good job. All right. Congratulations there. All right, next question. Which e-communication methods are also subject to Sunshine Law? Which? The social media, email, Zoom, group text, group chats, text messaging, all of the above? What e-communication methods? As technology evolves and we get more and more technologically savvy, what does it apply to? I don't know why that all of the above jumps around like that. 4, 3, 2, and 1. It is all of the above. all of those apply. The Sunshine Law applies to all of those, including those meetups before the meeting, including those sidebars that you're leaning over and talking to your neighbor. So those apply to Sunshine as well, or Sunshine applies to those as well. But good job, everybody. Number 8 here. True or false? There are civil and criminal sanctions for Sunshine Law violations. True or false? True or false? Are there civil and criminal sanctions for Sunshine Law violations? Absolutely, there are. There are criminal and civil sanctions, and we don't want anybody to get involved in that. So that's why we come and bring these to you every year. Good job. Next question here. Several members attend the same professional workshop. They do not discuss MPO business. Is this a violation? They're at the same workshop, but is it a violation? They're at the same meeting. They do not discuss MPO business. Is this a violation? Professional workshop. Go to church together. They're in the same civic group. It is not a violation. Why? Why are they not? Why is it not a violation? Because they're not discussing MPO business. No sidebars there. All right. Now, if they duck off someplace and start talking Metro Plan Orlando or project-related business, then yes, it becomes a violation. All right. 10 participants just hit the answer streak. You're on a roll there. All right, number 10. Multi-selection here. The safest response when a member tries to discuss business privately is stop the conversation and ask staff to post the meeting for later. Listen, but don't respond. Listen, but respond publicly later, or redirect and stop the conversation. This is a multi-select. It is that's correct. To stop the conversation and ask staff, Metro Plan Orlando staff, to post the meeting. That puts you in Sunshine. And then that meeting notice has to have reasonable notice. So even if it's 24 hours, put your conversation on cool, call us, let us post it, and then you can go on with your meeting. And then also redirect the conversation and stop it altogether. Your green didn't click? All right. So we are coming in for a landing here. All right, next one. When in doubt about Sunshine Law compliance, what should you do? Assume it's just fine, ask for forgiveness later, check with the MPO staff, or just keep talking. That's right, you check with the MPO staff, and we are happy to post those meetings for you. That's right. All right, good job. And we're going into meeting decorum now. Here's the next one. Multi-selection. Who should be recognized by the chairperson before they speak? Presenters, staff members, persons making public comments, committee members. Which? Who should be recognized by the chairperson? You can multi-select, yes, on this one. You can multi-select. It is all of them, every person, meeting decorum, each person, when the presenter comes and the chair says you're recognized, that person can speak. Even if you ask a question of that presenter, the presenter really should go back through the chair to get the nod. So that meeting decorum continues. Nice, Joe, good job. Got a streak of 11 there. All right. Members holding a sidebar conversation during a meeting. Is this acceptable? No, it breaks decorum. Yes, if it's done really quietly. Use your inside voice. Only if the chair allows, or yes, if they're meeting in public, if the meeting is public. Members are holding sidebar conversations. Absolutely. No, it breaks decorum and it violates what? All right. I love it. Good job, everybody. This is great. 7 participants are on a streak. Here we are. 2 members relay positions through another member, but they never meet together. What's the issue? 2 members never meet, but another member is going back and forth. Is there a problem? What is the issue here? They're separate. Separate talks are fine. No issue. There's no quorum. It's only an issue if the vote changes, or yes, there's an issue because it's a conduit. Absolutely, it is an issue because that person is now a conduit between the 2 people, and all 3 of them are members, so that is a violation of sunshine law. Joe has the highest answer streak so far. All right. MPO staff meets with members individually and then shares opinions with the other members. Is this a problem? Yes, it's an indirect meeting, or no, MPO staff can communicate freely. Is this a problem? Yes, it is a problem. What is the problem in that? They're sharing the information. We can go and brief any of you. We cannot take back to another of you what the other positions are. But we can brief, and we can speak freely to all of you. We can brief you. We just can't tell you what the other members are supposed to be or what their positions are. Okay, Marissa. Good. The highest answer streak there now. All right, number 17. A member argues with a person making public comment. Is this appropriate? Yes, debate is allowed. Only if the chairperson allows it. Yes, if it's respectful. Or no, public comment is not debate. Is this appropriate? It is not appropriate because public comment is not the time for debate. Members debate members, members don't debate public. Okay, and last question, and this is the sleeper that is for double points here. Can a committee member communicate directly with a board member, a Metro Plan board member? Committee members can communicate directly. Committee members can communicate directly if the meeting is posted, or a committee member cannot communicate directly with a Metro Plan board member. They can. And here's the caveat. They're not on, it was 10 seconds. So they can communicate directly with Metro Plan board members with the exception of Ms. Pizzo. And why is that? Because she's representing CAC on the Metro Plan Orlando board. So she is not able to participate or communicate directly with them. So here's the podium. Let's see, 12 out of 16. There you are. You see yourselves. We don't know. Here's got the gold, the bronze, 13 out of 16. Got the silver and did 14 out of 16. Okay. Congratulations to all of you. Give yourselves a hand on that. And if we can go to the, let me turn the volume back off there. Just a couple of takeaways for you. Thank you all for indulging. I had staff to go through this yesterday, and it was one with speed, and they were like coming from the bottom, and I was like, I don't know if we want to treat them that way. But just very, very quickly, just want to remind you that sunshine laws, most infractions, violations are unintentional. People don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to violate sunshine today. It's something that happens along the way. And so just we encourage you to be careful. Sunshine law applies equally to board members, elected officials, as well as volunteers. There are sanctions that are imposed. There's news articles, just Google it. You will see where people were out having beer and somebody came by and heard the conversation and called the gotcha, and they ended up having to pay $500 fine. So what makes a violation? Easy to remember formula: 2 meetings plus a discussion plus foreseeable action equals sunshine law violation. All forms of communication, e-communication, are subject to government and the sunshine laws. This includes those text messages, group chats, phone calls, conversations before and after meetings. And then with your meeting decorum, we're going to send this out to you all again. Meeting decorum, the one rule that helps to keep these meetings moving is that anyone wishing to comment or speak must always be recognized by the chair before speaking. No recognition, no floor. Take that up with Robert, it's his rule. And then this gives you the flow for making your motions. And that, Madam Chair and members, is the Sunshine Law Refresher for 26. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, but you guys did a good job. We're so proud of you.
Wonderful exercise. Thank you, Virginia. We do. A question, Ms. Mott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to say, Virginia, this was fun. I enjoyed this process this time. So thank you for all the work you and the staff put into this.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, moving along. Again, thank you, Virginia. Our next presenter is Alex Trauger with a look at MetroPlan Orlando's Unified Planning Work Program. Thank you, Alex.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's going to be a tough act to follow. I don't have a game. I'll try to bring one next time, but that definitely did. The part of that gaming is built into our budget. So you hear a lot about our plans here at Metro Plan Orlando. We have a long range plan. We call that our 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We have a short-term capital improvement program. That's our transportation improvement program. We have a prioritized project list. We have an active transportation plan. We do plans and studies all over the place on topics, you name it. What this document is here and what I'm presenting on, the Unified Planning Work Program, it's a long federal term. That's basically code for Metro Plan Orlando's annual operating budget. It is it's a core requirement, both at the federal and state laws. It's a 2-year document. Most budgetary cycles, especially our local government partners in the state, operate on a 1-year budget cycle that's constantly being updated. We take up 2 years and then we refresh the second year. But this is a core requirement, having the 2-year budget. And the outline, the structure, the content within our Unified Planning Work Program is all a matter of federal law and requirement. So if you see a chart, a table, a description, it's likely a requirement, but we do try to make it as reader friendly and clear as possible along the way. And again, this is a document to ensure that all federal transportation funds, both from the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration, flow to Metro Plan Orlando for planning purposes, but also absent the planning process and the certification, the billions of dollars of transportation investment cannot be spent. So there's a direct relationship to our planning work, certification process, and what we're doing here today. So it is a 2-year document. So every other year on the even years, for those who have been with us and who will be with us, we take up updates in action to the update of the full document. So typically January, February, we're meeting with committees, talking about this preview, what we're going to be up to. We have to have that approved, a draft tentative approval from our board, which allows us to transmit to FDOT and to USDOT for their review of the document. They typically give us comments a month later. A month after we submit, we get comments back, and then we bring that through the process. Comments are typically pretty minimal. There's handbooks and checklists, and we follow that to make sure that we're complying at every step of the way. But this budget will kick in come July 1 of this year. Again, the structure of the document has not changed from prior years. 10 core sections that outline all activities that we do here as staff, as well as the planning products and public participation that we do across the region. As it relates to proposed studies, core activities, things that you're going to see at the podium. If you looked at this 2 years ago, it said a lot of 2050 long-range plan. But we're coming out of that cycle now. So we typically go into what I call the off-year planning cycle, where we're implementing long-range planning tasks, digging deeper into the ideas and strategies that we identified, and going into implementation mode, but also serving our local government partners with plans and studies and other special projects along the way, adding value to the region where we can. This includes all of our funds, federal, state, local, formula, and discretionary. So you will see a pretty significant surge over the past 3 years because of our safety discretionary planning grants, but also some of the other planning grants that we receive for data analytics. So you'll see that in our total numbers. But as it relates to planning studies, as you heard, we did get the green light, and we do have a funding agreement in place with USDOT to continue our momentum on planning. So you're going to hear a lot more about that at your upcoming meeting. So I won't spend too much time today. That's good news there. And we're making sure everything's buttoned up in our agenda, or excuse me, in our documents, so we can expend and get reimbursed for that good work. Transportation improvement program is always part of your agendas, and that's going to continue to be both getting it updated, but also monitoring to make sure that everything is moving smoothly. We just came out of a long range planning process, covered a lot of ground, but there's more information. We're just scratching at the surface in some cases. So we've identified some task areas, whether that's data, analytical modeling, additional corridor study works, where we identified a corridor, it's a line in the plan, but we need to dig a little bit deeper on concepts and costs and solutions. So we're going to be doing that. Public health, resilience were topics that came up. We addressed them as part of the plan, but these are recurring activities that my staff will be working on over the next couple of years as well. Advanced air mobility, flying cars, the Jetsons, it's more real than you think. You're going to hear a lot more about that. It's a big topic in the legislative session as well, to make Florida a testing ground. But USDOT has an initiative called Innovate 28. So by 2028, we will see this. Like I said, the future is now as it relates to advanced air mobility. We started doing some origin and destination analysis as part of the 2050 plan. Again, we just scratched at the surface. Orange County is doing a plan. We want to broaden that to see how we can, without duplication, make sure that we're not planning for trips that are happening 60, 80, 100 miles within a vacuum. So we're going to be doing that. Also following up more on funding. You heard a lot about that. We couldn't afford everything based on formula funds, based on what was reasonably be available. So we're going to be exploring, creative and other innovative, funding and financing sources, and you'll be hearing more about that, ways to fund our transportation vision, and of course, plan revision. The 2050 plan's a living document. As things change, as things evolve, we incorporate that into the planning process throughout the year. So it's not just an item for the shelf, but something that lives and breathes. Where we will be continuing our annual traffic signal retiming program and before and after studies. You've heard from Eric Hill on that in the past. So we'll be continuing that. Also, our travel data analytics program. You heard Laura earlier talk about the performance management program. That's a requirement of USDOT. So part of that is us acquiring commercial travel data for travel time reliability, speed, congestion, and we use that for regional planning purposes. We offer access to that to our local government partners for their traffic management uses, but we also leverage that for different plans and studies around the region. We're going to be continuing our white paper series. Many of you read the e-bike and e-mobility white paper that provided a good foundation. We're hoping to continue that. We have another one coming out soon on balancing emergency response in traffic calming. This is another issue that's confronting our local municipalities. So we're going to be coming forward with that here soon. But we plan on doing 3 to 4 white papers a month on relevant topics, again, without duplicating efforts, but really kind of distilling good information so it's palatable, digestible to the general public, not just in kind of deep research activities. We're also going to be working closely with Sunrail. This is something that's come up at the Sunrail Technical Advisory Committee, the need to revisit some of the station parking in some of the locations between Sand Lake Road, Meadowwoods, and in the in the Sand Lake Road station there. So we're going to be exploring that. We started a study back in 2019. The pandemic put that one on pause. It's come up, the need is there. So we're at least going to start an initial phase to explore the needs and document a path forward if there is a critical need for additional capacity. So that's something that we're going to be working on. Public participation. Everything on the left-hand side of the screen will have an element of public participation, but we do more than that. And you're going to be seeing a lot more than that in our different visualization and engagement activities over the next 2 years as well. We are going to be kicking off public opinion research. You're going to be hearing more about that from Marianne and Virginia in the coming months. So our next budget will be finishing that. And then you'll also see a line item for fiscal 28, 2 years from now, where we complete that public research again. So that happens every other year. We conduct statistically valid public opinion research to support transportation and other issues in the region. We also do work outside of our study area. So our 3 county area is larger than the state of Delaware. But again, the way our region travels is a little bit different than some other areas. We have people coming in from Polk, Lake, Brevard County on a daily basis, and in our planning practice, accounts for that. We don't do long range planning in a vacuum. So we leverage the Central Florida MPO Alliance. Virginia staffs that. We bring together all the MPOs from around the state, 9 counties, all in District 5, plus Polk County, connecting us to the west side of the state. We've been meeting for over 20 years, I would say. Virginia probably knows that number exactly. We provide administrative support. We do long-range planning, but we also develop a tracking the trends document. We call it the Regional Indicators Report that looks at the larger super region in the ebbs and flows of transportation performance measures. We're also exploring some work. Eric Hill will be leading even larger than that footprint along the I-4 corridor from Volusia County all the way to Tampa about improving TSMO organizational strategies. So we'll be hearing more about that as well. And something relatively new, it's in the long-range plan, but the Lake to Lake Regional Trail, and that's Lake Monroe to Lake Okeechobee. So a lot of lakes in Florida and in Central Florida, but these are 2 really large ones, couple 100-mile trail. Only a few of the segments are currently constructed, a lot of proposed, a lot on the state's Sun Trail system, many in the Florida Greenways and Trails Opportunities areas. So we're going to scratch at the surface a little deeper, develop a green print in partnership with the Polk MPO and the Heartland MPO as well. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that. A lot of work's to be done there. It's a long corridor, but we're going to be developing a master plan to make sure everyone has a good sense of what the project is and the path forward to see that through over the next 10 to 20 years. As it relates to revenues, these are operating revenues. Our current year, we're at about 15. As I mentioned before, about 5 of that is actually grant money. So we're typically operating in the $10 to $11 million range, but we've been very successful, my staff, at pursuing federal discretionary grants. We foresee ourselves doing that based on the current authorization bill, just to kind of make the most of relevant, meaningful planning resources. So as we go into fiscal 27 and fiscal 28, we're going to be continuing a lot of those discretionary planning grants, but a lot of that work is going to be wrapping up in 28. So that's why we're starting to kind of get back to our typical formula-based budgets. The majority of these funds, about 55% of all of our revenues, go back out into consultant services. We run a very lean small staff compared to other MPOs. I have a really talented team, one I'm very proud of, but we're a really lean team. So we do leverage consultant services to do all the work, both organizationally, but also to provide consultant services to our municipal partners in need. We also pass funds through to links. That's part of what's called the Consolidated Planning Grant. About 5 years ago, US DOT used to have two pots of money, one for transit planning, one for highway planning. The current reauthorization bill blended those together. We typically pass funds through. This current year, we've been doing transit planning activities with our planning consultants and with my team in cooperation with Links. But as we move forward to next fiscal year and the year following, Links has a team of their own consultants and a procurement program in good standing, where we're going to be passing those funds through for reimbursement instead of doing that through our planning practice here. We also transfer funds to Links to operate and administer the Access Links program, Transportation Disadvantage. It's a paratransit service that provides service to those in need, and those are administrative costs that are reimbursable as well. So with that, you'll be seeing a tangible document, as will our board, at your next advisory committee meeting. But if there's any projects, studies, activities that I didn't mention that you'd like to see, let me know. No promises, no guarantees, but as we're looking at budget and trying to make sense of what we can afford and accomplish over the next 2 years, we'll definitely take that under advisement. So appreciate your time this morning, and I'll do my best to field any questions that you may have. If you have any tough ones, I'll bring in our accountant. So thanks.
Impressive. Thank you, Mr. Trogger. We do have some questions. So I'm going to start with Mr. Wells.
Thank you for the presentation. Just on the estimated revenue, just curious, the federal funding is forecasted to go down that much? I mean, what we're showing the forward estimate?
Well, we have two just very large discretionary. I'm unmuting myself. We have two very large federal discretionary grants. The majority of the funding that MPOs across the country receive are formula-based. This is based on federal reauthorization. It's based on population primarily. It's a urban population formula that basically provides the majority of our federal funds. But we have about $3 to $5 million of discretionary grants currently in flow. So that's why you don't see any in 28, but my team will be pursuing discretionary grants. We don't show them in budget until we have grant agreements in place. So I'm hoping to get that budget back up so we can continue doing good work, whether it's safety, accessibility, you name it. But right now, that's why you see a little bit of a surge. And you saw that in our fiscal 25 budget as well, when we were doing a lot of the safety action planning, if you remember, from a couple years ago when we were developing 25 safety action plans at once. We have an even larger federal portion. Pending the federal legislation, we may see increases in our urban planning monies, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But we're planning around kind of the snapshots that we have in place today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Clary.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason, for your presentation. I just had a question about the white papers and the topics that you pick. You list some of the things that you were going to do. How are the studies picked to do the white papers?
Yeah, so the white paper series came as a matter of hearing concern over topics. And then as we went as staff to say, how do we answer that? Too complicated to answer by, unless we wanted to send you 15 hyperlinks and 500 pages of documentation. So we're keeping our ear close to the ground, working with our technical partners as well. Laura did a presentation at our technical advisory committee and actually kind of solicited ideas for white papers. And I'll ask the same of you. If there's something burning, a relevant transportation mobility topic that would benefit from a distillment. We're aiming for like a 20-30 page readable document, turning thousands of pages of literature into something that someone will actually consume. So we're trying to find relevant topics that don't already have a wealth of kind of executive summary information, but also aligning with our organizational goals and kind of our end in mind. Like I said, the first one was e-micromobility. I don't think there's a more relevant topic about the state of the practice and the solutions for regulating, governing, and, educating and enforcing. The next one came from our safety planning practice as we're trying to get solutions on the ground, traffic calming, whether that's speed bumps, chicanes, traffic cushions, you name it. We heard a lot of concerns from police and fire. How do we get the big vehicle through without impacting travel time? And that's a balancing act. So that's where the second white paper came along. There are municipalities, there are jurisdictions who have found a way to make it work. And that's what we're reporting back. is, viable solutions for our municipal partners, our policymakers, to kind of improve their decision-making process. We have a long list, and we're kind of keeping our finger on the pulse of, what's most relevant. We know it takes us about 90 days to put a really, to do the due diligence, do the research, and to prepare something that's publicly consumable. So we're trying to aim about 3 or 4 of those a year. But if you have ideas, we can add them to the long list. And we're trying to time them again with relevance, but also balancing what other information is available on these topics.
So can I just do a little follow-up
Sure.
to that? Is there a library of the existing white papers that we can see what's been done and a list of what's proposed somewhere?
We can provide that. I'll have Mary Ann and Virginia follow up. We only have one right now, so the library is very small.
Okay.
But our hope is to expand that, like I said, over the next couple of years. If we do 3 or 4 a year, we'll build up on that. Again, we're trying not just writing for white paper sake. We're trying to really find topics that need the deep dive, that need the consensus building, that need the facts percolated up, really simply. So more to come. But again, if you have ideas, I can share what's on our radar. But if the group has any other ideas, especially coming from the public, we intend for these documents to be for the public, our municipal technical partners, but also our policymakers. So let us know if you have ideas, but we can certainly follow up with what's on our long list and what we're up to.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Pigram.
Phenomenal as always, Alex. So thank you for your presentation. The Sunrail that you said there's more to come, more discussions. I'm just curious on that parking demand, if some of it's being done looking forward at potentially the airport connection, and how that would change sort of the capacity needs if people are using it as long-term parking in lieu of paying to park at the airport. Or I would assume the other strategy would be any additional long-range parking that the stations need would be paid by that federally funded phase 3. So just picking your brain on that, but I know there's certainly more to come on.
We're still in the scoping process, working with the affected jurisdictions. When we initiated the work in 2019, the Meadow, I believe it was Tupperware and Sand Lake Road. We're seeing kind of a ebb and flow of overcapacity. And some of that concern was like, are people driving a mile up the road to save $1 because of the orange, for the county line? So there's a little bit of forecasting going into that. It's waned a little bit, as transit ridership is still ebbing and flowing. Ridership is increasing, so we're not seeing the same demand. But again, as a long-range planning organization, we're trying to get ahead of, if we need a garage, if we need another solution, if we need something, we need to at least identify that need well in advance. So an action plan, so a local jurisdiction or a grant or some other solution can be materialized. So our first phase is going to be purely needs assessment, capacity analysis, a little bit of scenario planning to what you just said. What if this happens? And then the trip behavioral change, patterns change because someone might be using what is intended to be day parking for longer term parking. So those are things that we're going to explore. We're not going to be getting into site selection. It's going to be a simple quantitative analysis based on what we know and what we think may occur in the next decade to chart a path forward. A lot of the expenses are going to, based on Sunrail costs transitioning and what's also happening, are likely going to have to be borne by our local government partners. But what we want to do, at least from the MPO's perspective, is to identify the need system wide, so that then a path forward can be created that, pending the affected jurisdiction, can take and run with.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Heath.
Thank you for your presentation today. I wanted to inquire, as we look at disadvantaged communities, are there any plans, or please elaborate on plans for heavily used stops along the links routes where there might not be coverage or seating possibly along a lot of those routes? And if you have plans for disadvantaged communities, I'm seeing a lot of people who are quite elderly who could use some accommodations and a little bit of protection in the elements during very cold seasons that we're experiencing right now, or very hot seasons, rainy seasons. Can you elaborate on what that is and how we might engage with that more thoughtfully in our communities?
Yeah, sure. And I'm not going to punt intentionally, but your next presentation is from Links about the transit development plan. which looks at the next 5 to 10 years of transit service.
My
both by
apologies
home lane,
for
but
the,
also
yeah.
both kind of furniture, vertical, what I call vertical infrastructure. So Miles, you got the heads up, or Charles?
I'll
you got
defer
the
that
heads
question
up?
to you, Miles. Thank you. Sorry
So
about that.
Charles will be up next speaking to that, or he can build that into his remarks. But I know Lynx is considering that. There are implications about when you put furniture. You heard from Mr. Bottomley, David Bottomley, as a public comment, I believe, at your last meeting. There are statutes that, if and when, furniture, whether that's a bench, is installed, there are ADA and other cost considerations. So I think that's part of the decision-making process, but I'll let Charles speak more deeply into that. Sure.
Excellent, thank you. And that's a good segue. Our next presenter is Mr. Charles Abachawana, excuse me, of Lynx with the organization's Transit Development Plan update.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee. Happy Wednesday. I also unfortunately do not have a game, but happy to present the Transit Development Plan annual update for Lynx here. So, do I have a clicker? Oh, whoops. All right. Ooh. All right. So first, kind of want to give like a background of why we do the TDP, the purpose of it. Talk more about the revised TDP rule that we got in 2024, as well as some of the accomplishments in the past year, some of our service changes in the past year, some of our future plans and projects, and then the next steps in the TDP process. So first, talking about the background of why we do the TDP. So it's kind of required for us to do to receive some public transit block grants from the FTA. It helps us identify some needs and critical service related issues over a 10-year horizon. And we do the annual updates every year to kind of move that calendar year forward. So as we move to the next calendar year, we move to the next year of the 10-year horizon. And it basically is a report card too for us to list our accomplishments for the past year that I'll talk about, kind of mitigate some of the discrepancies, whether it be differences in grant funding or changes in climate as well. And then we do a major update on this plan every 5 years. I'll point to this right here where it says March 1st of 2028. So that's a change that I'll talk about in the next slide here. And that gives us the 5-year headline to do our next one, which is due in 2028, as our last one was completed in 2023. So the revised TDP rule that I was talking about, so in July of 2024, that's the official Florida admin code there. We got some new guidance on how the TDP annual process will be working. Basically, we are looking more to cooperate with the MPO, some enhanced cooperation there. And then the other thing is the change of the submittal date from September 1st into the following calendar year of March 1st. And we attended a workshop over at the D5 office a few weeks ago to kind of describe that change and the emphasis and the coordination with the MPO as well. So with the MPO coordination in the past, we've used the TDP kind of as a guiding document for the LRTP. As they mentioned, also looking at the 2050 and future MTPs in the future, it helps guide some of the transit sections in that based on the prioritized projects list that we provide in the TDP as well. And MetroPlan staff are also very, very intimately involved in our TDP major updates advisory group as well. So in the future, we're going to continue doing all of these good things and continuing to present the annual and major updates to all the MetroPlan committees, as well as the board itself. So then looking at some of the accomplishments for the past year that are listed in our annual updates. So we did complete construction on the Pine Hills Transfer Center last year in August of 2025. So we've realigned a series of routes to go through that transfer center as well. We recently signed a memorandum of understanding with GOA to look at adding a bus transfer facility in Terminal C. We did complete a sustainability and resiliency plan for the agency, and we completed an environmental process and received FTA concurrence for the Southern Ops facility. So we have a preferred site that we're looking at right now. So continuing to work towards potentially acquiring that as well. We've also completed the HSTP, which is our Human Services Transportation Plan. That's part of the Section 5310 FTA grants. We did an ADA transition plan for our fleet facilities and stops as well. We completed the TDSP, which is our Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan. We did a minor update in this last year. We also updated our bus stop design guidelines, which speaks a little bit to some of our changes in our stops and the prioritization of our stops. And we also conducted a customer satisfaction survey, which was the first one we had completed since 2017, kind of looking at our service as a whole. We did also finally partner with the Transit app. So Transit app is a kind of nationwide app that looks at different transit agencies. It helps us with our real-time bus tracker application. It is now live. So if you download the Transit app, you will be able to get real-time information as listed here on bus time arrivals from your location. And we also have been continuing to work with the ATSP, which is the Accelerated Transportation Safety Program with Orange County. So in the past year, we got 26 new bus shelters constructed with 73 more in progress as a part of that. And we did also complete a pilot program on TOD, looking at potential TOD along the State Road 436 corridor as well. So then looking at some of the service changes of the last year. So as Epic Universe did open in this last year, we did extend the Link 311, which is that express route that runs from the airport to a lot of our attractions. We connected it to the new Epic Universe as well. And then as I was mentioning before, we adjusted a bunch of links here to serve the new Pine Hills transfer station to connect there. And then there were some service reductions in Seminole County as a part of concurrence with the new Scout Mobility on Demand service that they are running up there as well. So then looking at some of the active plans and projects for the future year, as I mentioned before, we're looking at the site selection for our Southern Ops maintenance facility, looking at that memorandum of understanding on the transfer facility at the Terminal C. We're looking at a fare study, looking at kind of the structure of our fare and different options of payment there as well. We're looking at doing an update to our transit asset management plan, which helps us keep everything in a state of good repair when it relates to our facilities and our fleets. And we're also going to be looking at doing an update to our Title VI program, doing another O&D survey as well, and doing that major update to the TDP of the 5-year horizon. So those are going to be starting in the next summer until that March of 2028 deadline. So the next steps in the TDP process, so we're continuing to present these to all of the committees of Metro Plan, and then we're going to formally present it to the Metro Plan Orlando Board in February of 26. And then we're going to get that authorization to submit to the Board of Directors for links, and then submit the annual update by that March 1st deadline that I talked about, review it with FDOTs if there's any comments there, and then return any revisions to FDOT, and then close out the 2026 TDP annual updates. With that, I will take any questions.
Thank you. I actually have a couple of questions. I want to take you back to the slide where you introduced the various planning studies, I believe.
This one or?
A little further back. There you are.
This one?
You're talking about you completed the ADA transition plan and the disadvantaged service plan for, where can these plans be found? Obviously, probably on your website, there's links to it with information what they're about.
Yeah. These should be available publicly, either on our website or we can just provide them per request of the public record. Yeah.
Okay, then I want to go forward to your service reduction, excuse me, with Seminole County.
Yes.
Is there a list too available as to where those areas are that?
Yeah. So those are available on our website as well. And then so we discontinued 6 fixed routes, and there was 2 neighbor links as well. So I could list those. Those are the 34, the 45, the 46 East, the 46 West, the 103, the 434, and then our neighbor links 822 and 851 were the ones that were taken away. But that's all listed in detail on our website as well.
Excellent, thank you. And Mr. Sibylla, you have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your presentation. My question to you is regarding connectivity to jobs. That's something we talked about and previously. I appreciate the extension to Epic Universe, from the airport, which is great for our visitors, but looking for more support regarding especially our service industry, hospitality workers. I'm in the Horizon West area, which is a severe drought area for public transit. If it's in existence at all, it's a low frequency routes, which in a lot of our roads are behind on expansions. So it's sort of like, could adding more routes help alleviate, you know, a lot of the traffic, a lot of the concerns, allowing for more time for these roads and plans that our commissioners and, you know, kind of commissioners are working on. You know, for, you know, trying to get those problems solved for us. I just see constantly workers, you know, trying to get to, you know, various hotels, theme parks, walking along the side of the roads where there are no sidewalks, trying to ride their bikes.
Yeah.
I've even stopped and picked up a couple on the way to work saying, I'm working, going to the same place you're going. I can drop you off, you know, wearing my ID and my name tag. You know, is there a plan to continue to expand with job connectivity in mind, particularly in West Orange County?
So as it relates to specifically West Orange County, I can't answer specifics to the Horizon West area. I know in some of our long range kind of service developments, there's a series of express routes that run from the Pine Hills Transfer Center in the west there towards some of those things like Disney and Universal as well. But I could get back to you on some more specifics as it relates to Horizon West. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to jump over to Mr. O'Hanlon.
You didn't mention autonomous vehicles.
Yes. So in the last, we have not done anything in the last year relating to AVs. In the previous year, we had done a program with Swan, and that was determined to not be mission ready. So that was a pilot program that we had conducted, and that was the last AV service that we had conducted.
You also didn't mention point-to-point trips.
Sorry.
Point-to-point trips where a vehicle picks you up from your house and drops you off at your job.
Yeah, so we have the neighboring service, which is our MOD, which covers point-to-point trips as well in that form.
Have you had any discussions with getting rid of these dinosaur buses and replacing them with modern autonomous buses?
So we've done some reimagining with the neighborlink service, maybe looking at some adjustments to a lot of those MOD zones with the point-to-point trips that you had mentioned. But that's the extent of the reimagining towards neighborlink. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into it. You guys are so far behind in technology. You're such a dinosaur organization. We're not a jobs program, okay? We are to transport Central Floridians around at the least cost with the best service. If you guys can't see what's happening with Scout right now, okay, you're out of business in 2 years. We can't afford you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mueller.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate the presentation. So I had the opportunity to be part of a group at the OCPS, and I actually got to drive a school bus 2 sessions ago, and they also told us all about their bus service. I don't know how many they got, 100, let's say, or something, or maybe more than that. But they have 10 electric vehicles and electric buses. And they got those through the VW settlement, you know, that you probably are aware of. And I think they were free. But the issue is with these electric buses is they've only got a range of about 100 miles.
Sure.
And they have to be charged, which takes them about 2 hours to charge up. And so they can only be used for certain routes. Does Lynx have any electric vehicles? And if so, do you run routes with them? And what routes do you run? And what's the future of electric with buses?
Yeah. So we have a small fleet of Proterra electric vehicles, and they run on the limo routes, which are downtown circulators. So that's where we accommodate that. Obviously, like you had mentioned, the smaller range of an electric vehicle. So that's where the service is provided right now with electric vehicles. In the future, no other future plans for anything of an extended route, possibly. Maybe as we change in the next major update of our TDP, but can't speak to anything else. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next question is the primary vehicle propellant is diesel, right? So
CNG.
What's what?
A compressed natural gas,
Oh, natural gas.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where we are right now, and that's where okay. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Council.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you so much. I have to agree with Mr. O'Hannon right now. I moved to the Ponciana area about 7 years ago. There's one bus, 426, that goes around 9 villages and comes back. One of the reasons I started sitting on this board, because I just couldn't understand what's up with links. Today I'm looking at you and I want to be your friend. I really do want to be your friend right now.
Yeah.
But I'm 6 years in with still one bus. And I have over 38,000 people that have moved to these 9 villages. And I have accident after accident. No bus stops, no bus areas, not even a bank, a little, I'm about to go put some cylinders out there so people can sit down. And what I don't understand is I see all of these adjustments to so many other places, but Ponciana is still in the same position 6, 7 years later.
Right.
Is there any change for that? Is there anything gonna happen? Can you take out one of those autonomous buses and like send it over there? Maybe 2 buses, one going in and the other one coming out? Because it's hard to go around one little area that's really looks like this big on the map.
Yeah.
And it takes you 2.5 hours to get from Ponciana Walmart to the train station where the Sunrail is at. What are we gonna do about that?
So in reference to, I know we've recently done some work with the neighbor link down there as well. So we have the point-to-point service as well. That's as a part of Ponciana in the neighborhood there. But as it relates to long-term planning down there, that's definitely something that we should be looking at.
It's something that should be on the board. That's not to mention the door-to-door that he also mentioned. I have several elderly people. I'm best friends with all my seniors in my area. Okay. I have several people that have not had good dependability with the links being picked up to go to doctor's visits. It bothers me because a lot of times medical transportation can't get to them. And like my, co-member here said, there's times that if I know that elderly is going to that doctor's appointment and they haven't been picked up and they call me, I will go and take them.
Yeah.
But that's not really fair for such a large bus system of links that makes a lot of great money, and they could put a couple of more buses to make people's lives a little bit better, because this is the area where not everybody can afford a car, not everybody can afford certain things. So an inexpensive, bus ride would be nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Council. And thank you, Mr. Abatuana, for your presentation.
Thank you.
And that concludes our presentations for today. There are several items for consideration under general information and upcoming meetings. You can read those for yourself. We do have upcoming meetings of interest. If you want to actually see what happens with all this information we've gathered here today, the Metroplan Board meeting, Orlando Board meeting, is February 11th. And then we have our next Community Advisory Committee meeting on February 25th. I do want to thank you all for being here this morning. Your presence is important and much appreciated. And have a good rest of the month. See you later.
Member comments.
I'm sorry.
Member comment.
Okay, you know where my mind is at. I'm already out the door. I promise I'll be better next month. This brings us to the second opportunity for public comments. Comments heard at this point in the meeting are more general in nature and similar to the first comments made in person or online. Members of the public joining us virtually who wish to speak will use the raise hands feature on their Zoom screen. And if you're attending by phone, remember hit your *9 keys to raise your hand and request to be recognized. When you're called, staff will unmute your microphone and will ask you to state your name, contact information for the record. Ms. Rachel, is there anyone online wishing to comment?
No comments from online.
I was just reminded I'm skipping over things again. Do we have any comments from our members? And yes, I do see Mr. O'Hanlon.
Okay, I'm going to start off and just kind of level the playing field. You know, I'm under an NDA on the semi trucks, and I really can't tell you much, okay? However, on the cars, I'm under no NDA, so I can tell you where they're at, okay? Without getting in any trouble. So my car has been reduced to a chauffeur, okay? I don't drive it at all anymore. And actually, at this particular point, my wife doesn't drive it either. Okay. And she was just against all of this autonomous stuff and whatever. It's become so good. Even my wife actually lets the car take her around. So, how does this actually work? So, yesterday I get in the car and I tell her I want to go to Regions Bank. I got to deposit a check, and then I want to go to I want to go to Home Depot, and then I want to go home. Set the directions. Okay, and then the little blue button comes up, and which is the start button, and you press start. Then she takes me to Regis Bank, parks me in front of the building. I run in, deposit the check, get back into the car, and she watches. She makes sure the doors are closed, and I have my seatbelt on. Then the blue button comes on. You just press the button, takes me to Home Depot, parks me at Home Depot, pick up a few items. I get back in the car, close the door, put my seatbelt on, and the blue button comes up, and then she just takes me home. And then actually the day before that, I was going to Wells Fargo Bank, City Hall, and she's going right there for the best parking spot, which is a handicap spot. And I can see up, she sees the blue handicap thing, and then she decides she just turns around and she just backs into a spot on the other side because the car can actually even read the handicap spots now. And then the other big problem is, okay, what happens with police vehicles and fire trucks? So I'm coming across Broadway. I've got the green light. There's nobody in front of me. I can hear the siren somewhere. Okay. And so can she. And she sees a police car speeding down 434, about to just buzz in front of me. She just pulls up, stops at the stop bar, lets the cop go by, and then continues on her trip. Then the other big thing is, oh no, what's going to happen with emergency vehicles? Okay. I'm driving down the road and a fire truck is behind me. She pulls off to the side of the road, lets the fire truck go by, looks at traffic, gets back into the road, okay? The reason I'm going through some of those details is because the public, even our own government, has no idea the state of these vehicles. I watched the NTSB lead guy tell Congress about the status of autonomous vehicles. The guy's a flipping moron. He's like 60 versions of software behind where the cars are today. He's telling Congress the vehicles will not pull over for emergency vehicles. Yeah, anyway. Okay, yeah, the last thing. So the electric buses. Elon said 3 days ago that the boring companies got roads underground all over Las Vegas. Okay, and right now they're just using the cyber trucks, and the number of people is increasing so rapidly that he is committed to, by the middle of next year, getting the autonomous buses in those tunnels, which then means they'll be available for everybody else also, including Lynx. Okay, if they would get on board with all of these dirt cheap vehicles and they go far more than 200 miles to take care of us in Central Florida. I don't care what they do in the rest of the country. I want us to be ahead of everybody else. But we're so far behind in some of these things that just, I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Unless you got any questions.
Just one quick question. Where are we with Waymo and the autonomous vehicles coming to Orlando? I know they're mapping, but I haven't heard any indication of when they're actually going to start service.
Okay, so Waymo's coming pretty soon. Okay, now the thing you got to remember about Waymos is, I know they're autonomous, but there are actually people in rooms with big TV screens and steering wheels in there. So when a Waymo gets in trouble, some other people help the car out. But that's okay, because they're still driving around. As far as Tesla goes, they've got some cars driving around in Austin, Texas, okay? They have the new vehicles all over America and the world doing the testing.
Okay, excuse me, Tom, this has gotten into be more of a
Oh, sorry.
discussion.
Sorry,
And
my bad.
in my error, this has been quite a morning, folks. I was in error here. We needed to ask if there was anyone from the public wishing to speak in person so that we could close that portion out and then get back to our member comments.
We received no comments.
Thank you, Rachel. And so I'm going to move over to Mr. Pegram.
Thank you, Chair. Just real quick, I thought it was interesting, kind of buried in Orlando Business Journal last week, about a week ago, that the airport project that had come before us last fall for $2 billion to build a consolidated rental car facility that we rejected, went to the board approved, because it's really a funding alignment more than part of our normal work plan and local budget. The airport announced they're canceling that project. And so they're doing it while accelerating other efforts to expand their existing garages and the existing rental car facilities. So I just think it's interesting culturally that if there was a $2 billion Sunrail project that was canceled, it would be front page on the Sentinel. If there's a $2 billion DOT project or Turnpike project that was canceled, it would be front page on the Sentinel. The Sentinel has yet to do an article about this. And I guess I don't understand culturally, societally, how the airport operates in this like different existence and expectation society-wise than any other entity. And I don't really have any commentary other than that I just think it's really interesting that that happened. Granted, they're doing other projects to supplement it, but just wanted to kind of provide that update to the committee.
Thank you. I want to take a step back. I'm looking at my chart. I can't read that far. Yes, please.
It's Christy Bankalari. Thank you. Sorry, I'm probably need to hold it up like this or something. I did have the same question about Waymo because I've seen them a lot on iDrive. I saw one getting onto I-4, which I was like flabbergasted that was happening. Is that regulated through any, are they just come and start driving on our roads, or what happens? I don't know. I'm asking to be educated. Does anybody know?
I think they're testing right now
They're-
with drivers.
They're mapping the area
Yeah.
right now, and as soon as it's mapped, they're live.
But there's no, is there?
State law allows it.
Okay. I was just curious because since I serve on this board, people ask me all the time and I'm like, I have no idea.
Maybe that's something we should hear a presentation on in the future. Maybe somebody with Metroplan can
I would love
give us an update
to
on
learn
this and
more about
give
that.
some background.
And this is also historical, and so I don't know if anyone here knows, but before my time, it's my understanding, and this may be a links question, and I had my thing up but didn't get seen, so it's okay, and I can follow up with them. It was my understanding that before COVID, that there had been a grant for Lyft to assist in door-to-door transportation when access links was either not available or outside the region or something like that, to help with some of these like medical and high cost issues. I represent the unique abilities population, and I know some of our riders get cars through links, but there was also this grant that let Lyft help. How do we get more information about that? Or where do I go to find more information about that?
That's very
Does
good
anybody
question.
know?
Is that a question we may direct it to links or again to Metroplan?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
The Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board helps to ensure that those services for paratransit are met within the Central Florida area. At the time that those discussions were happening with transportation network companies, of which the Lyft and Ubers were a part, those negotiations stalled because there were some conversation about whether they were actually technology companies or whether they were actually transportation providers. I'm not sure where they are at this moment, but we will get with links and see if those companies are back in the list of those who are able to provide service. The service provider currently is Transdev, and then they have coordinated contracts with others. You'll hear the name UServe, which is another one of those direct rides. But we can follow up with information about whether or not Ubers and Lyfts would be able to provide those services.
Yeah, I think just more information on that door to door between the connector routes, access links, the service providers representing the disability community is the same as the senior community, and we're moving into that. My mom lives in Sanford, and so she has opted not to use her car for 6 months to see what she's gonna endure when she becomes carless as a senior citizen, and she is struggling. So I just would really like for us as a Metro Plan Orlando to be thinking about our aging population. We're putting young people through 12 years of school with disabilities. They're coming out, they need employment, they can't get to their jobs. I think it's an area, if all us able-bodied young people want to drive our cars, that's awesome, but I see a tidal wave of people needing more reliable transportation coming, and I don't know how to take my position here on Metro Plan for this next year to propel this urgency forward, but this past year I put 40 people to work with unique abilities, and more than half of them don't know how they're going to continue working. So I just would love to see more presentations and connections and ability for us to elevate this as an issue for between self-driving cars or our partnership with Lynx and how they're doing that. But I think it's something when we're talking about public transportation and not roads, it's on our heels. So I would just love to learn a little bit more about what happened and how I can help, and who the people are, because I'm not that knowledgeable, but I'm very resourceful.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Did you
we
wanna
will,
add?
we will follow up. I've
Okay,
made notes here.
thank you.
And I see the Links team feverishly making notes back there as well.
Ms. Heath.
I did want to inquire about whether or not, and so please excuse me if this is not relevant, is the Central Florida Expressway expansion part of the purview of this group?
Madam Chair. The Central Florida Expressway Authority's plans, projects are a part of our overall plan. It's included, but for courtesy, consistency, and of the entire plan. We don't have any jurisdiction over them because it is all of their construction is taken care of with toll revenues, and so it is included in the plan, but it is not something that. And is your question directed towards something that needs to be done? Because we can possibly get an answer for you.
Sure, I can clarify. I wanted to first ask because if it had no influence, if we had no influence or relationship, then the question would be irrelevant. Obviously, there are some positions that are being taken, particularly in Orange County and bordering Osceola County, regarding the expansion and some environmental impacts. And I was curious to know if that would ever be presented here for members of this group to at least provide input on or be advised upon, and whether or not that was appropriate for it to be presented in this group setting or to get additional information.
I'm gonna punt to Alex to come up and help with the response on that one and just talk about the relationship, because we do have board members who are on the Metro Plan Orlando board who also sit on the Central Florida Expressway board. But in terms of the decisions that are aligned there, I think that is in a different echelon.
Yeah, I think Virginia summed it up well. The Central Florida Expressway Authority is a special taxing district with, under state statute. So they have domain as it relates to the construction, operation, maintenance, and financing of the Expressway Authority as we know it today. Obviously, what you're seeing in the news with Split Oak Forest and kind of what's happening with Orange County, those are, I would say, the best place to have that discussion would likely be the Orange County Commission, just given kind of especially the likely lawsuits that will likely be taking place. But again, the Expressway Authorities, to Virginia's point, is part of our process because these are big regional facilities. But because all their projects are exclusively funded with toll revenues. And this is similar to Mr. Pegram's comment about the airport. Majority of their funds come from a different source, which kind of takes the authority, prescriptive authority away from our governing board. So it kind of puts it back, as law puts it, is basically the airport has a fiduciary board. The Expressway Authority does as well, and that's where those actions are taken. You often see informational presentations through our process. Those projects are included just to see scale and connectivity of our local projects are tying into at interchanges with many of these facilities. But given where that one currently stands, the project is in our long range plan, but it was under the understanding of what voters took up on in the referendum years ago. So again, the best domain for that would be, I would say, at Orange County or at the Expressway Authority. So if you have strong feelings and and public feedback that you'd like to provide, I would definitely recommend taking it up in that forum. We can of course relay that, but I think it's always best as well for those decision makers to hear it directly.
Sure, and I understand those interplays and what our ability to influence, and I wasn't certain if it would be appropriate, or how we might, as a group, provide even input. And if the answer is we should be engaging in those more public comment sections, or if it would be appropriate to invite a representative of those parties to simply give information and seek input. Whether or not we have direct influence, we certainly have some indirect alignment with projects and goals. And so I wanted to know the correct or appropriate way in which we engage with those issues, similar to Mr. Pigram's input today as well.
Thank you. Last question, Ms. Council. Thank you.
I would like for links to maybe come back and show us what they plan or how they plan to solve the issues of the buses in certain areas, or how do we get on certain areas on links radar for them to be able to help commuters that are trying to get from one place to another. From, I believe it was September, around August, September, I had an elderly person hit my car. I didn't want to go through any type of means. It was very impactful for this elderly person, but I was without a vehicle for 4 months. And I literally went through public transportation to go through hell. Okay, because the amount of time that it takes to get from one place to another, I could only resolve maybe one thing a day, and that's not transportation. As Mr. O'Hanlon said before, there's a lot of money that goes into a lot of different projects here. And I would like to see in the areas of Pleasant Hill, which is very unpleasant, all the way down into Ponciana, more transportation. So thank you so much for
Thank
the
you. And
opportunity.
this really, okay, because you two have not, we're going to try to wrap this up. These are the last two. Ms. West.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it brief. I just want to state my support of public transit, because sometimes it sounds like we have negative comments regarding transit. It's a need in the community, and we can't ignore it. I support, point-to-point transportation. I would like to submit a question to MetroPlan to help explain how transit is funded locally, and maybe, because I can understand like how a lot of the other infrastructure is coming through US DOT and FDOT, but I don't understand how transit is funded. So I'll just, if I need to send an email, I can, but just wanted to submit that, because I don't understand if many of these issues are stemming from a lack of funding.
That's a very good point. Thank you. Well, Ms. Whittington is making a note of that right now. Ms. Webster.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but to me, the role of this committee is advisory to the MetroPlan board, not to directly affect other organizations. And if we feel strongly about something, we can make a recommendation to the Metro Plan Board for further action. Just if I'm mistaken, please clarify, but that is our role.
That is our role. Thank you. Good. Okay, so since we've already done the public comment part of our agenda, thank you for being here today. And I hope I get to feeling better.